Hey Acers, welcome to the regular Irregular ACE Report. This is the official channel for the ACE role playing games club system. I'm Mason Emerson, the founder of the system, and I am here to help you learn how to game master so you can set up your own role playing game club in a public venue where you can build friendships that'll last lifetimes and where we can game for good. So, just to excuse me, to let you know, I just did an unboxing video. I'm going to actually try and do something I haven't done before, but I'm going to try and put a link somewhere around this screen that has a reference to that video so you can go watch that video if you want to see the unboxing. And it's a good size unboxing, and I will again show this on this video just because it's so cool. It's the Holler. And this is so pretty. And it's got the little owl that's the it's on the D6 for the set. Now, as I get more sets, I'm probably not going to incorporate them into my active dice sets because I've got my Deadlands set in there. I've got my second Deadlands set in there, the one that comes in the box set. I've also got my dice that if I light them up, it looks I can light them up with a black light and they glow. My toxic dice set, those are cool. And I've also got a set of, actually I could probably take the bluish purple ones out in favor of these Holler ones. That might be what I do. Anyway, so I'm gonna keep going through the Savage Worlds book, but first I'll give you a report on where I was this week and what I did. So Tuesday, and it feels like forever ago this last Tuesday, because there's just so much that's happened since then. But anyway, because we had a showing and the person hasn't flat out said no, not interested. Anyway, we on Tuesday went to the shop at Mythos Games and did our weekly gaming session. The teens are still doing their homebrew set that my daughter cooked up. And I've had enough grown-ups come in and stick around and parents that stick around that we started a grown-up table. And it's an official table now. And I'm running Deadlands. And so I'm running them through Blood Drive first. Then I'll take them up to Showdown at Sundown. And then I'll take them over to, and then I'll take them into like some of the main campaign stuff and everything like that. I want to bit by bit, piece by piece, build them into getting them into horror at Headstone Hill. And so that's really where I'm headed with this. Now, I also this week, just kind of finished up today, submitted my, let's see, I got to do one more submission actually for game design and adventure writing. But there's RPGs that aren't D&D. I'm doing that again. That was pretty well attended last year, but this year, and see my video on, and I'm going to see if I can link that video too, but see my video on the OGL 1.1 kerfuffle. That's the best word to use. It's a Scottish word, and it perfectly applies. So yeah, OGL 1.1, 2.0 probably is going to drive enough people away from Wizards of the Coast. There's enough people dropping their D&D beyond subscriptions that there's going to be people looking for that next great role-playing game to give them that experience. So on Tuesday, I ran the first episode of Blood Drive, or the first part of the first episode, and it happened to be a night where a new friend of ours, Amanda from Texas, she happened to come in to the store looking for at least some information about a game, and we were able to sit her down, create her a character in about 45 minutes, and we played for the other 2 hours. And it was great. Um, Unfortunately, my buddy Jay didn't get to stick around because he's also the head of the Flesh and Blood Guild, and they had people show up for that Flesh and Blood game. That's out of New Zealand, so and it's kind of a game like Pokemon um, or Magic the Gathering kind of thing. So cool. Um, and then let's see. Thursday, I ran East Texas University. My buddy Clark forgot about that. Come on, dude. But anyway, I'm hoping he comes on this coming Thursday when I run Harvey's Heroes at Mythos. So that'll be awesome if we can get that. Anyway, Harvey's Heroes is great. I'm looking forward to running it. And then again, I'm running it next week Sunday as part of the BSerCon. I got to finish setting up my virtual tabletops for those. I'm using a lot of my minutes on Midjourney, which is a really cool AI generator. I'm using a lot of my minutes there to to do I'm using my minutes there to get images because I don't in my VTTs I don't really go for maps and minis. I mean, I do put your characters on the screen so you can roll and have it affect things and stuff like that, and you can bring up your character sheet quick and easy. But I don't do full-on tactical maps because tactics are not. I mean, they are, but they aren't. Tactics, I think, are better imagined. And here's the idea: as a fighter, somebody who actually knows how to fight, I know that as a punch is coming at my head, I'm not going to stand still and let it punch me, and then punch him back, and punch me, and punch him back until one of us runs out of hit points. That's what happens a lot with maps and minis. Now, there's a place and a time for them. But if you have the strategy of if you have the strategy of how your character is going to respond to this situation, and I have the strategy of here's how this antagonistic NPC is going to respond to this situation, then the two of them are going to circle around each other because here's the thing: enemies don't always stay and fight to the death. Sometimes they run away. Actually, I'll get to that in a second too because last night I gamed as well. Um, but on but for East Texas University, it was so cool. Okay, um, I they needed to have for this ritual the weapon of a murderer as their rare element to be able to summon this ghost that they needed to be able to contact in order to move the game along. Well, they I on the fly, I'm like, oh, where are they going to get a murder weapon? They could raid a police station. I guess they could go there, but they don't want to build ill will. So I just made up a moonshiner museum, a rum runner museum. Talked about the rum runners that used to moonshine there in the big thicket during the 20s. And they used to hide in the big thicket from the authorities. And they ended up getting not only just because of crazy dice rolls, they ended up actually getting a full-on. They became they became honorary docents of the rum running museum that I put them in, and the old guy just took a shine to him, and he loves them. He loves them to death. He let him borrow the knife of one of the crazy killers there, and they were able to get all their elements that they needed. They needed a pound of bat guano, the guts of a catfish, and the weapon of a murderer, and it worked, and it was fun. And initially, they thought they were going to be casing the joint and then sneaking in and stealing the weapon, but because that persuasion roll went to like 46 or something like that, it was huge. My players are just like, boink, we'll just do that. So that was event number 2 this week. Event number 3 was last night, and I was late for it because we had a showing yesterday, and then I went and talked to the owner of another house that I'm hoping we might have found our house. Now we just got to sell this place so we can just pick up from here and go buy it over there. So, and the house that we found, it will be perfect. It has an elevator built into it already that can be accessed from the garage. My wife can just put her wheelchair on it, go up to the main floor, or stay down on the basement floor and go straight into the basement. And there, down in the basement, there's a walk-in tub with a big trunk, and she can sit and just fill up the water, and she can soak in it, especially when her back's hurting so bad. She can heat it up and soak in it, and she is going to feel so much better. I'm so happy for her. Oh, I'm so happy for her. That's the best thing that could happen, and I hope we get it. I pray we get it. Put me in your prayers. Put me just, anywhere with the need. And my nose is still blowing out Jackson Pollock paintings. Ugh. So anyway, but last night I got there late, but still got to play some from like 9 to almost midnight, and I'd gotten there just as they triggered a trap, and so my rogue was following I'm playing a ranger rogue because I'm going for this urban ranger, kind of like Snake Eyes, because figured why not? And I made him a sharpshooter, so he can just he's good at that. So he can take a penalty to his hit in order to plug in order to really cause some damage to the people that he shoots. So it's pretty cool stuff. And yes, it's D&D, and yeah, my friend is even still using D&D Beyond. I'm not going to recommend one way or another anything that you should do, because I don't should on people if I can. But I tell you this much: WotC's a hot dumpster fire right now, and it might be a good idea to come over to Savage Worlds, because hey, we launched they launched the Savage Universe thing that's coming. The official launch hasn't happened yet, but it's getting there. So that said, that was my gaming week, and like I said, next week is BSRCon. So Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I'm going to be running a game each, and I was going to be in a Fate game on Saturday night, but that's also the time when the Mythos people need me up there to help plan the work for the year on what we're doing with game mastering and things like that. So have to miss a game to go be a little bit responsible about gaming. So, but yeah, being as I'm the head of the teen outreach group, I have to be there. I need to be there. So to my Fate friends, maybe I can play with you another time. It'd be great. And then, that kind of leads, me back to what I was saying before about preparing my virtual tabletops. What I try and do now is I just set a scene where I put in a picture that evokes the emotion, and that is a much better scenario. So, excuse me. So yeah, that's what I gotta be spending the rest of this weekend. I'll be spending a lot of tomorrow, the holiday, on setting up my stuff for that. Let's see. Trying to think of any other major gaming things. We are going to continue to work our way through the core rulebook. There's a lot of it I'm still skipping, so that way you're encouraged to buy it. But these are the basics of what you're going to need to game master. In Savage Worlds, the next section that we haven't covered yet is hindrances. Starts here on page 22 and introduces the other character who's a consistent character throughout the book, because there's Gabe and Red. Nate is the name of the kid that plays. Nate is the name of the kid that plays Gabe, and Red, who we already introduced, is played by Emily. So Emily and Nathan, and they're playing Gabe and Red and Gabe, and there's also these are the detailed descriptions of the hindrances. I don't find that I use them all that much, because unless somebody wants to read more about their hindrance, because these are summaried later on here in the character creation section. So remember though, with hindrances, hindrances, edges, things like that. Anything in Savage Worlds, really. There's a key, and it comes in later when you're in the powers section. But there's a key concept called trappings. Trappings, and I think I'd better write down that I've got to remind myself that I mentioned hindrances and trappings because I want to remember to put those in the description. Hindrances and trappings. So trappings are the way you present that. And I'll give you an example using a hindrance. There's a hindrance of delusional, and you can have it as a minor or a major. Let's think about a character who would have delusional. Now, the crazy homeless guy on the street, yeah, probably has delusional because he's talking to himself all the time. He's always, and this is something that I'm going to reference as we go along, but use your body as your display. Because just pushing everything aside for a moment, I do American Sign Language. I can communicate with the deaf and pretty effectively. I'm not the best, but I'm okay. My wife is much better than I am. And so is my buddy Ethan. But that's one of the places where I've spent some time in my life. And there are 3 things. See, already that's the sign language 3, not this. That's W or 6, depending on. But anyway, there are 3 things that are more important than the actual signs. 1, facial expressions. As a game master, use your face. Make it a movie screen. And attached to that is your body language. So you can use facial expression and body language to portray this character. You don't even have to stand up to do it. But I'll show you the difference, though, when you are standing. So like, I was talking about somebody who would have delusional, a homeless man. So I kind of maybe mess my beard up a little bit and pull it back for other points. But still, like, be a little hunched over, and he's gonna be head cocked at an unnatural angle, and he's gonna be like, "Yes, my pretty, my precious. You tell them that I don't want to talk to them, but they can talk to you." Did you see the homeless man? Now, of course, if you're standing, and I like to stand a lot when I game master because then I can use my whole body. So now I can, my precious, and he can have nothing there. My precious says that if you go down that street, you'll see the glowing house. It is scary. And then you walk away. You see, that's how to use body language and facial expressions. And you don't have to be a perfect actor. You don't have to be perfect at sign language. You don't have to do any of those things. Body language and facial expressions will convey so much, even over a medium like this, where I'm videotaping myself talking to you. Well, not videotaping. That's getting picky. Anyway, that said, going back to delusional, let's talk for a second about delusional and trappings, because I can trap delusional differently. Let me remind you of a character. His name is Eddie Brock. He holds the Venom symbiote. So an alien from another world that's inside of with his molecules that can come out and make him super powered and all that kind of stuff. Again, facial expression and body language there, because he's like, I'm gonna eat your head. See, I'm using my face to be able to convey some of that. So that is Venom. And Venom, when Eddie Brock talks to him, and he's sitting there going, and he's like, "No, Venom, you can't eat You can't. No, you don't. No, you don't get to eat people. You don't get to eat. No, no, knock it off. You don't get to eat people. That is most people on the street. If you saw somebody talking to himself like that, you'd think that guy was off his nut. But in this case, he's not. But he presents like he's delusional. So he would have the delusional major hindrance. So that's another example of how to use, because Savage Worlds is abstracted. It's not specific on purpose. So that way you have room for interpretation. And that's where I'll pass real quick through traits as well. And traits are not only how your players define their characters, but how you define the non-player characters that you work with. And the thing is about traits, as an example, shooting. If I take the shooting skill, because traits are attributes and skills. If I take the shooting skill, I could use that skill if my character shoots a bow, a flit gun, a pea shooter, a handgun, a rifle, a cannon, a ship's cannon on a starship. Whatever kind of thing I'm shooting. Because why get bogged down in, I'm sorry, but you don't have a skill to shoot that particular Lamont handgun. So you now need to take a -2 when shooting that. No. Just like, and we'll see this later when we get to the gear, the skill of shooting itself has been abstracted. That means not too specific, little hazy, little phasey, but excellent for storytelling. And we'll talk more about this when we get to the mechanics as well. But this is a case where shooting, fighting, anything like that is covered because you have that skill. Now you can take a specific like skill advancement or skill specialization, because it is possible, just like I said, when they abstract their guns, they abstract their guns. But you could have a signature weapon or a signature fighting style or something specific that just really narrows it and tightens it down, gives you an extra advantage of a die type or something like that. Right now, I haven't actually read how to do this, or I might have read it, because I have read the whole book from cover to cover, but I don't remember if I've read this. But if I was to do, say, a martial art, do crane style, let's say. Now, the Kung Fu that is the martial art, that's covered in fighting. Martial artists, the edge makes it so you can use your hands and fists as natural weapons. But then you take crane style, and I would have it so there are specific moves you can do that give you certain kinds of attacks, and also I'd make it so the martial art, like a crane style, would be something that you can roll to support yourself. And that was something that I saw happen, or read about happening somewhere. I just saw it in a Savage Worlds thing, and I was like, oh, that's brilliant. So here's the final idea that I'll pass in this video, is support yourself. If your game master's, if you're trying to figure out, well, how are you going to do that leap over the guy and then stab him in the back? Because that's either athletics or fighting. Well, I'm just writing that down. Support yourself. What if I had you instead roll an athletics roll as a support roll to your fighting roll? So that would give you either a +1 or a +2 to your own fighting roll, because you did something cool. You flipped over the guy. And so, but you got to look at the intentions of what are you trying to do with that maneuver. So anyway, that's what I've had. If you're 18 or up and you've been watching my videos, remember to join BSerCon on Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I still have a couple seats open in my Savage Worlds games. Otherwise, Acers, be good. Know that I love you. And game for good. Because that's what we do here at Ace Role Playing Games, which stands for Achieve, Create, and Entertain. And here we're gaming for good. I love you, and I'll talk to you soon.